Welcome everyone to today's video. So today we are talking about my sub $1,000 camera setup. This is a great setup if you're just getting into videography, somewhat into photography too. This is rigged a little bit more toward videography, but this is a fantastic camera setup that you can get for under $1,000. Not all of us have a bunch of money to dump into camera equipment, especially if you're just doing it as a hobby, and if you're not going in as a career, you're probably not going to want to drop thousands and thousands of dollars, especially not to start off. So here's a great, fairly budget option, under $1,000 to get you started, get you set up with your camera setup. This is a fantastic starting YouTube setup. Now, honestly, personally, I'd recommend starting with your smartphone. If you have a pretty good smartphone camera, honestly, start with that. Some phones can be a great option for video. So honestly, start with that. But when you want to move to a camera, this is a fantastic setup for under $1,000 that we're going to get into here today. So we are going to start off with the camera body that I'm going to recommend today, the Canon 70D. I did a review on this. If you want to go check that out, that'll be linked down in the description, or it'll be right there if you want to go check that out. I go more in depth there into specifics of this camera. This is a fantastic starter camera. You can probably get this thing used for under $500. I honestly recommend, especially when you're starting out, to get your equipment used. You can save so much money. You have to be careful when you're getting your stuff used, but do your research, read the description, ask the seller questions about the camera. Make sure you're getting a good item. Be careful when you're doing this, but you can save a lot of money if you're willing to just buy your stuff used. This is a fantastic option, very solid DSLR, great for YouTube. It has the flip screen, fantastic feature. Also the ADD is a great option. It'll cost you a little bit more money, but if you want to spend the money, go ahead and get the ADD. It is better. Both are fantastic cameras. This is the one I'm going to recommend today though. A great option for the price. Very solid camera in both videography and photography. So that is the DSLR body that I recommend. Now moving on to lenses. The lens is a really big deal. Lenses vary so much with what you want to do, whether you're doing videography, photography, studio videos versus vlogs, portraits versus landscapes, whether you need to be shooting low light or not. There's just a huge variety that you just need to decide. So I went with a really versatile lens, a really solid all-around lens, great for getting started with videography, great for first lens. This is the Canon 18 to 135. This is a fantastic lens. It goes from pretty wide to pretty tight, so it's a great all-around lens. Something that's perfect for a first lens because you can be using this for a lot of different stuff. New, this lens will cost around $300, give or take. Used, you can find this from $150 to $200. Of course, it depends on what you're able to find. Going used, you could probably get it from $150 to $250, but go check that out, see what you can find as far as used options. Be very careful when you're buying used stuff. You don't want to get screwed over with something that's completely broken or scratched or non-functional. So be careful when you're shopping for used camera equipment. Look into getting used stuff, especially when you're starting out. It can really help you save a lot of money. Alright, so moving on to some of our smaller accessories, starting with the least fun of them all, 128 gigabyte Sandisk Extreme Pro SD card. This will cost you about $40. Not a very fun thing to buy. You can get 64 gig if you want to. I'd recommend, honestly, just going ahead and spending the extra money to get the 128. Make sure you get an SD card that can shoot the resolution that you want to be shooting in. If you're doing photography, it's not as big of a deal to get a bigger card, but for videography, I wouldn't really recommend going smaller than 64. Alright, so for videography, a huge part of video is audio. So the microphone that I'm going to recommend to you today is the Takstar shotgun microphone. It's the microphone I'm using right now. It's the audio you're hearing. It's right up there. I also did a full review on this, as well as the lens I talked about. If you want to check them out, they'll be down in the description as well. But this is a fantastic microphone. Extremely good price for the audio quality that you'll get out of it. You'll spend about $35, so it's a really cheap microphone. It works really great. Pretty impressive audio, especially for the price. When you're starting out, I wouldn't recommend spending $300 on a microphone. Get something a little bit cheaper, see how you like it. I would really recommend the Takstar shotgun microphone. So another thing that you may want for vlogs, on-the-go video, etc. is a GorillaPod. This is not a Joby GorillaPod. This is an off-brand one. Save some money here. If you want to go ahead and spend the money on a Joby GorillaPod, go for it. There are other options as far as little gadgets like this. You could also check out the SwitchPod. This isn't really something you need, but you may want to pick up one of these. Okay, so the last item on my list today is a Jobe ND filter. Now this is a variable ND filter. This will cost you a little over 40 bucks. Great for when you're shooting in really harsh lightings. When you're doing vlogs or travel videos and stuff, lighting can be changing a lot. One of these can really help you to keep the right settings and still be getting the right lighting. This is a variable one. I also did a review on this as well if you want to go check that out. Link in the description. So that isn't a necessity. This is something that you don't necessarily need, but it's something you may want. So there you have it, guys. That is my sub $1,000 camera setup that I recommend if you're getting into YouTube, videography, that kind of thing. This is a great setup if you're just starting out. If this is the first money you're spending on videography, this is what I recommend to get. Also, the ADD is a great option if you want to go ahead and spend the extra money to get the ADD. That is a little bit more expensive though. That's just kind of up to you. Do your research, see what you want to get. That is my sub $1,000 camera setup. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this could be helpful to you, maybe if you are in the camera market, looking for what to get, maybe looking for a first camera setup. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you all next Thursday. Just plastic that is used. You can so you have to be so be careful. If Canon, this is the Canon. I should probably check this stuff again. Really, I mean, not, but alright, so if you're doing, alright, so for videography, and spending the extra money to get the 128 for, I did all bucks, this is bucks, lighting, what? This is actually my second try on this video. The first time I recorded this video, it was out of focus, so it's kind of a rerun for trying to get our ducks in a row.